Alright everyone, this is my review of the 15.4 inch late 2011 MacBook Pro. Comes with a 2.2 GHz quad-core Intel i7 processor, AMD Radeon 67M graphics card with 512 megabytes of memory, 500 gigabyte hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM, and an 8x SuperDrive. Now I did do some upgrades to this laptop. I upgraded to a 256 gigabyte SSD from Crucial. It's a SATA 3 capable hard drive, and I also did include 16 gigabytes of memory. So I fully maxed out this machine in memory. And as you've seen other MacBook Pros, it has your standard array of ports, MagSafe power adapter, gigabit Ethernet, FireWire 800, Thunderbolt/mini display port, 2 USB 2.0 ports, SD card slot, line in, headphone out, and on the other side you have yourself the SuperDrive and Kensington lock. Now I'm going to start off by saying that this is the fastest laptop that I've ever used, or at least the fastest Mac laptop that I've ever used. The 2.2 GHz quad-core processor just really kills at all, like when I do video compression or if I'm doing things in iPhoto, for instance. Everything's instant. So that's the good thing about it. Another good thing is that it does have the full array of ports, so unlike the MacBook Air, you don't have to carry around any extra accessories. You don't have to carry the SuperDrive. You don't have to get an Ethernet dongle. It's all built in. And that's another thing that I really like about the Pro. When we look at the internals, so here's my 16 gigs of RAM, and as you can see, I'm using about 2.5 gigs right now, and I have 13.5 gigs left over. So if you're doing really intensive pro level work, if you're working in Motion, if you're working in Final Cut, After Effects, Photoshop, really processive and intensive applications or things that can really take advantage of the RAM, then you should upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM. I admit, for me, this is overkill. I just wanted to max it out because I want to make this machine last as long as possible. Because I don't do that kind of stuff. I mean, the most I do is iPhoto, web browsing. I might upgrade to Aperture. I'm thinking about upgrading to Aperture or Adobe Lightroom just for my photo editing. And I just compress video on this thing. So it's overkill, but I expect this machine to last a good couple of years. So that's the RAM aspect. And the SSD, so we'll open the SSD speed test, the Blackmagic one. Zoom in a bit. And this is a really fast SATA 3 connection. So on write speeds, you're getting about 265 megabytes per second. And it's going to do its thing. And on read speeds, you'll get up to 500 megabytes per second. So it's a really impressive SSD. This actually does a little bit faster on the read speeds than the newest next generation MacBook Pro. I've seen tests where the MacBook Pro next generation scores in at about 450, and this is doing 500 easy. So it's a really fast SSD. And if I want to really do the stress test on it, let me see here. Go into my applications, select everything, open everything, and there it goes. So that's how fast it is. It's amazingly fast. And even with everything open like this, if we look at Activity Monitor, it's still only using 4 gigs of memory. So, I mean, you have memory to spare on this with even every application open. So it's a really fast machine. The other thing about it, I was coming from a 13-inch Air to this model. I had the 1.7 gigahertz Core i5 processor. And the keyboard, this is by far probably the best keyboard I've used on the laptop. I can type really fast on it. And the problem with the Air is that the keyboard sucked. The keyboard didn't have any key travel to it, so it was really hard to tell if what you were doing was registering with the machine. With this, there's enough key depth to it, so I can really tell if my typing is really accurate and it gets the job done. So I'm really impressed with the keyboard. Also, I like this because the SuperDrive is built in. I still burn a lot of CDs. I have a CD player in my car, so I still burn music CDs, and that's why I like having the SuperDrive built in, as opposed to having this be your dongle and this being your SuperDrive. So for me, it works out. I like the SuperDrive. I still use it. A lot of people aren't these days, and maybe that's why they'll get the next generation MacBook Pro. As I said, this is the fastest machine I've ever used. However, you're going to pay for that in the sense of heat. This is also the hottest laptop I've ever used. And it does get warm enough to the point as to where it's uncomfortable. So that's just one thing that you got to be aware about also. So overall, in terms of pricing, the laptop costs $1420 refurbished, and there's the unboxing video. $1420 refurbished. I spent $211 on the SSD, and I spent about another $160 on the RAM. So altogether, when I add this up, I spent about $1,800, like a little over $1,800 to get a fully spec'd out machine, and really it was completely worth it. This is a workstation. This is really a portable workstation because of the upgrades in it. You can upgrade the hard drive later on, so when they come out with terabyte size SSDs, I can put that in. Yeah, so this is really workstation level performance in a laptop. So I'm really pleased with it. This is the machine I should have got. I shouldn't have got the Air. I should have got this from the beginning, but I did get the Air. The Air is good. The Air's form factor is still good. I love the form factor on the Air. I like the screen on the Air, but overall it was limiting because everything was soldered onto the motherboard. So this is more a system that fits me. Alright, so that ends the preview, or that ends my review, and that's about it. Peace.